it's my responsibility to make that a better experience any way I can. Um, so we're just going to kick it off with talking about the digital backpack and Clever, and that is how we make a lot of that happen with making apps a better experience for all of you. So I'm going to start sharing my screen so I can show you some slides. Okay, so Stu reminded you earlier about the sign-in. Please do sign in. That address again is bit.ly/SFUSDPD sign-in. Bit.ly links are case sensitive, so if you're typing it in, be sure to capitalize it.
Hey, Aiden, your screen's not showing.
Oh, it's not? All right, let me try that again. Not seeing, you weren't seeing the blue slide?
No.
Weird. All right, let me try it again. You seen it now? Is that you guys seen the blue slide with the sign-in link?
Looks like people are seeing it.
Okay, maybe you pinned me or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, sorry about that.
All right, cool. Slide deck can be found at bit.ly/backpack SFUSD with a B and the SFUSD capitalized. And that link is on basically every single slide, so you don't need to rush to do it right now. You'll be able to find it. Okay, so we're here to talk about the digital backpack and Clever, which are two sort of interrelated concepts that I will illuminate more. But the purpose of the digital backpack and Clever are to get you learning applications that you can use with students and to make sure that everything is simple, safe, and basically the best that it can be. And I'll come back to those three themes over and over throughout the presentation, but just to tease them apart a little bit now, what I mean by simple is that when we pick these applications, the Department of Technology makes sure that they're easy to set up and log into. That's what we mean by simplicity. We know that you want to concentrate on teaching and not on setting up apps or helping students log in. So we pick the things that are the easiest to set up and log into and that automate as much of that as possible. In addition to being simple, we want to make sure these applications are safe because we want to make sure that we protect students' privacy. So all the applications in the backpack are vetted by SFUSD Legal to make sure that they are not misusing student information. And this is a pretty important point that I'll come back to again a couple of times, that it's really, really important to only use applications that are approved by legal because other apps might misuse student data. They might sell student information, they might track students' location, they might send them marketing information, and that's not something that we should be doing with our students. So I'll show you a little bit later the list of where to find those approved apps, but something to bear in mind throughout this and throughout working with students is that if an application collects any personal information at all about students, then you need to make sure it's on the approved list. But if it's just a website with information on it that the students look at, but they don't enter a name or email or click the login with Google button, then that's okay. It's only when a website collects personal information about a student you have to make sure it's on the list. In addition to being simple and safe, we want to make sure that applications are the best for the educational purpose that we've chosen them for. So we partner with the Department of Curriculum and Instruction or other relevant departments like special education to make sure that these apps are the best at what we need them to do, so that we can make sure that things are aligned to the curriculum and that we're not trying to support dozens of different apps that do the same thing, and we can concentrate on finding which one is the best. So these are the three main pillars of the backpack, and I'll come back to them a couple of times, but sort of keep these in mind that we are the apps we are telling you about today that you can get access to with the backpack, they are simple to use, they are safe to use with students, and they are the ones that we've selected to be sort of the best for using with students. Here's what we're going to talk about today. We've sort of touched on this first one of why we are here. That's this thing again, to talk to you about applications that are simple, safe, and best in class so that you can concentrate on teaching and you don't have to worry about these things. We have worried about these things a great deal, and we hope that you can take advantage of the effort that we've put in to collecting these simple, safe, best in class, simple to use, safe and best in class applications. So hopefully you can rely on us and start using these the backpack apps. The next thing that we want to talk about is what are these applications? What's in the digital backpack? What are these 90 or so applications that I've been talking about? And before we go into what these backpack applications are, I want to just tease out a little bit of some distinctions that will be helpful to keep in mind later. The next thing I'm going to show you after this is this big list of 90 approved applications. And that's sort of represented here by this gray circle. There are about 90 approved apps at SFUSD. We're struggling to add more as fast as we can. But the other thing we're going to talk about is Clever. Clever is the way that we actually get those apps to you. It's sort of how we make the digital backpack happen. The digital backpack is an idea. It's an initiative at SFUSD that we work on, and Clever is a digital tool. It's a website that we use to make it happen. And there are some approved applications, represented as being out here in this gray circle. They're not in Clever, which is represented by this blue circle. And so just something to keep in mind. Every application in Clever is approved for use with students, but not every approved application is in Clever. And then one of the things that makes Clever so powerful is that we can automatically assign applications to people based on their school site and their grade or their subject. So, and then we can make those assignments based on what school sites have paid for, because not all backpack applications are free. Some of them do need to be funded by school sites. So what you're going to see in your Clever account is going to be different than what could be in Clever. So the stuff in your Clever account is going to be, is obviously in Clever, but it's not going to be everything that could be in Clever. And if you have a question about those other things, you can send in a help ticket. And then the stuff in Clever is not everything that is approved. It's only that small subset. So yeah, that's just something to keep in mind as we move forward, that there's this particular subset of apps that are available to you, and that not everything that's approved is in Clever. So what are these approved apps? Well, you can follow this long link to the SFUSD Continuity of Learning website. You can write this down somewhere if you want, or you can come back to this presentation. But what I prefer to do that's much easier is just Google it. SFUSD approved apps. It's the first result. And so there's this page has a lot of information on it, possibly way too much information. And it includes stuff like what the products are, what subjects they can be used for, whether they are paid or not, whether how to get to them, which is usually just going to be clever.sfusd.edu, and how to add these tools if they are paid tools. So it's a ton of information. I think it's a really good resource. I've worked very hard to get a lot of information on here. So I hope that you'll come back to it. Just always Googling SFUSD approved applications. And but this is a big long list with a lot of stuff. We're not going to spend too much time on here. One thing that this page will soon have when it is finalized by curriculum instruction is the list of apps that are temporarily available for free in your Clever account. So come back here and you'll hopefully soon see that list as well. But you're not here to watch me read this website. You probably want to know, how does this work? And the answer is go to clever.sfusd.edu. And so I'm going to just dive right in and show you the experience of what it looks like for a student, sorry, for a teacher to log in. So I'm going to open up a new window and clever.sfusd.edu. Everyone, so it's the same address for everyone, for students and for teachers. Everyone goes to clever.sfusd.edu, and everyone can click the login with Google button. So I'm going to enter the email address of our fake teacher that we use for these demonstrations. Hopefully, I'm going to remember their password right, because I've done it wrong a couple times. Oh, it worked. That's good. Okay, so this is the Clever homepage. I can show you around in a little bit, but first I want to switch back to what the experience looks like for students and walk you around the student experience for a little bit, and then come back to the teacher experience. So ultimately, this is in service of what we're going to do with students. And so we're gonna start by centering on the student experience, and then we'll come back to the teachers. This part of the demo is my least favorite because there's no good way to show it on my screen. I have to actually pick up this Chromebook and show you what I'm doing. It is, I don't know, we'll make it through. So this is standard SFUSD Chromebook. I'm sure you've seen many of these before. Every time I do this demo, I have to re-log into my home Wi-Fi because they don't like home Wi-Fi. So students, just like adults, will go to clever.sfusd.edu. They'll see that same login screen. And students, just like adults, can click the login with Google button. But students in K-3 also have this great QR code that they can use to log in. It's a personalized code for every student, and I will tell you how to get it. And they can log in with this Clever Badge login button. Sometimes there's a little prompt that comes up in the corner to ask people to allow use of the camera. I've already clicked that a couple times, so remember. So you just take the little QR code, hold it up to the camera, boom, and it logs the student in. So this can be used for younger students to log into Chromebooks. It can be used to log into Clever, and then through Clever, they can actually get to their Google apps. So that's what it's going to look like for students. It can be a very easy login experience. But now I'm going to go back to doing a real screen share, not a bogus screen share like this, to show you what that actually looks like once the students are in.
Ada, do you mind if I ask a question while you're doing that? We can wait
Yeah,
too.
fire away. All right, well, let's keep going. We'll probably get to it.
All right, we'll wait.
All right, so this is what the student sees. There's this wonderful collection of all of the applications and links that the district has made available. It's a little long right now. I'm going to sort of try to redesign it over the summer so it's a little shorter. There's also all of these teacher pages up at the top for all of the, this student happens to have many, this fake student has many fake teachers. And so the student has access to all of these teacher pages and to all these applications from the district. And the great thing about this is it makes it simple to find everything. It's simple to find all of the teacher pages, and it's simple to find all of the applications. Our goal is to eventually have every app that you'd want to use with students in Clever. So it's simple for them to find. But the other great thing is that it makes it simple for them to log in. So I'm just going to go over here to this typing club icon and click it. And it launches Typing Club for me. The student doesn't have to log in. So In addition to putting all the resources in one place, the students also don't have to remember their username and password. So here I've clicked on Newsela, and it's just logging the student right in, no username and password, nice and easy. Okay, so let me just review my notes to see what else we're gonna show. So basically, this is the strength of Clever right here, that it puts all the students' links, both for district-wide applications and links that may have been added by teachers in one place. It makes it easy to find and easy to log in. And as I mentioned before, all these apps have been vetted for safety by SFUSD Legal, and we've worked with curriculum and instruction to pick them. So this is really sort of a one-stop shop for all of the very best apps for students. So I'm gonna jump back now. So this is gonna be the core of the experience for students, but you as a teacher are able to shape that experience. So I'm gonna jump back to the teacher view right now, and we're going to take a little bit more look at that. So this is the teacher view. You're going to have, just like the student, links to a lot of apps. And when you click into those apps, depending on how they're configured, many of them will give you sort of advanced features and control over your students. So this is the teacher view of Typing Club. And you can see it has all this information about the different students in this fake class, what they've practiced, when they've practiced it. So it's a very, very cool, very powerful way to have visibility on your students and the work that they're doing in these various tools. The other thing that you can do is you can look at your classes. So that's up here on the top right. You click classes, you select your section, and you can do a couple things with this. You can see which of your students are logged in. Obviously, these being fake students, they are not logged in except for the one that we logged in earlier. And from here, you can see who's logged in and not logged in. And you can help them log in if they're having a hard time with their Google usernames and password. So that's something that the Google usernames and passwords are something that you can have the parents look up on Parent View. It's something that you can look up in Synergy as well. Or you can use this page to download badges for individual students, get backup login codes for individual students, or go up here to download your whole class badge set. And finally, my other favorite thing that you can do with this page is that you can launch applications for students. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we have the teacher page on the left, the student page on the right. And so let's say that we confirmed that our students are logged in, and we said, students, it's time to do Typing Club. Just come up here to the Typing Club icon, and it will launch Typing Club for your students. Now, the very first time this happens, you will need to select, the students might get a little warning that would pop up usually over here saying, hey, you need to allow pop-ups from Clever. So if it's not launching for everyone, that's the thing to check for. But it's a pretty neat feature that just makes it easier to help get your students on task. Let's do it one more time. Launch Newsela. There it goes. So it's launching Newsela automatically for all the students. Okay. The final neat thing that you can do in your teacher account is that you can set up apps and links. Oh my goodness. So that happens in your teacher page. If you want to create additional teacher pages to share with specific sections, you can do that. But by default, you have one teacher page and it's shared with all of your sections. And that's what this looks like. The teacher page has a lot of similar features to the class page. It shows who's logged in. It lets you launch apps for students. And it also has, but it can also be customized. You can add apps and links. The add app feature is limited to a small set of approved apps that are free in Clever, but aren't already on by default. There's not many of them. Most of the free apps are just already on, but there's a couple more that you can add. So let's say that you wanted to add Nearpod. You'd come down here to Nearpod, click that. Click install. And this is important. By default, it only puts it on your Just You page. But you want to make sure that it's with your students. So you click in here and select the page with your name. This teacher is named Showcase Teacher 01, but it'll have your name. So I'm going to make sure we're adding it to their page as well. Click Allow and Continue. So that's how you add apps. Again, there aren't going to be too many of those because most of the apps are sort of already in your Clever account. But the other thing that you can do from this page is add links. And that's here. You come down to the right, click Add, click a link, and then you want to put in the address of the link, the name, the category, and the icon. And again, it's very, very important to only add links to resources that are just content resources that don't collect any student information, or that if they do collect student information, you make sure that they are on the approved list. So, it's good for stuff like Wikipedia and YouTube and other informational resources that don't require a login. But you can also link to approved apps there. So this is your teacher page that you can customize. And if we're going back to the student view, all those teacher pages will be up here at the top. Okay. Other things that are important to know. So I showed you earlier that there are these class pages that you can see your students in certain apps, but those sections are based on Synergy. You need to be the teacher of that section in Synergy. And I'll come back to this in the slide when I go back to the slides in just a second, but it's important to note that Clever just reflects what's in Synergy. But what you can do is you can have yourself added as a co-teacher to a section in Synergy if you are, say, a resource teacher, or you're teaching in an elementary school, but you're not the homeroom teacher. Just have yourself added as a co-teacher in a section and it will appear in Clever, but otherwise you won't be able to see and interact with students in Clever. They need to be in a section that you are a teacher of. Okay, jump back to the presentation and figure out where we are. Got it. All right, so here's our recap. The main point of this recap is just that you have the slides and the information in one place and don't have to remember what I was talking about or review the video of the presentation. So there's 3 ways for students to log into Clever. Every student can use their Google username and password. Students can also use badges if they're in K-3, and you can print those yourself. There's a link here to how. It's the same as what I showed you in the presentation. And you can also have your tech leads print badges. That's your principal, your assistant principal, your digital learning facilitator, are all your tech leads. And actually, there's one other thing. I remembered to do something in this version of the webcast that I didn't remember to do last time, and I just want to make a note that I remember so I can remember next time. And the third way that you can access, that you can help students access Clever is with these backup codes. And again, that's something you get from your classes page. You can get the backup codes to help students log in. Adding apps and links. Again, this is the same thing that we talked about in the presentation with just one other additional piece. From your teacher page, you can add apps from the Clever library, but there's not a lot of them. Remember to add them to your teacher page, not your private page, otherwise your students won't be able to see it. You can also add websites, but remember to only add websites that don't collect any personal information about students or that are on the approved list if they do collect information about students. Here's another thing that's cool. Your principal, assistant principal, and digital learning facilitator are all tech leads. Tech leads have a couple special powers for printing badges. They can also add links to the whole school. And a very cool use case that we figured out in the last webinar was, let's say that you're teamed up with 2 other kindergarten teachers and you're all sort of developing resources, but but you're each specialized in a different subject. So rather than have all 3 of you put all 3 of the same resources in Clever, you can actually, in your Clever teacher pages, and then you have to update it in 3 different places. You can actually set links to appear for your whole school, but you can also set links, the tech leads can set links to appear for the whole school, but only for a specific grade. So if you wanted to team up with the other teachers in your grade to have a set of resources just for your grade span, that's something you could do as a tech lead. And if you want to be a tech lead, just send in a help desk ticket and we will add you. It's a super cool way to just have a little bit more control over what is shared with students and how. A lot of very granular control over the grades that see it. So it's just a neat feature, a neat way you can help out. And then a reminder, Clever gets everything from Synergy. If you want to be the teacher of a specific set of students and they are not in a section that you're a teacher of, you won't be able to see them, but you can have yourself added as an additional teacher to that section in Synergy, and that will sync overnight to Clever and get you what you need, I hope. Just as a reminder, there's a ton of apps. They all have their weird quirks and nuances, and I would just totally encourage you to keep coming back to this approved apps page, which once again you can reach by clicking this link or just Googling SFUSD approved apps. It's the top result. And as a reminder, this will be updated very soon with a list of 25 or so apps that DOT and CNI are collaborating to make available for free during the duration of the emergency. And we're gonna focus on supporting you with those apps. If you need help, please submit a help desk ticket. And here's the reason why. Sometimes I'm not the right person to help you. Everyone in DOT is actually pretty specialized. An example of that is I get a lot of requests saying, hey, Aiden, you're the one who does Clever. My school is wrong in Clever. Can you fix it in Clever? And the answer is no, I cannot fix it in Clever because it's in Synergy and I need to ask the people who manage Synergy. The help desk knows all these things. They always know who the right person to help you with a task is. So if you email them, it helps your request get to the right person faster. Sometimes the right person is me. I do my best to answer help desk tickets just as quickly as I answer emails. So if I am the right person to help you, I will get it just as fast this way. So I want to just encourage everyone to please use help desk tickets because it helps you get answers to things more quickly. If you're interested in learning more about Clever, I suggest the Clever Academy. It's 4 45-minute little learning modules. They are a combination of text and video, and they have little checks for understanding. They're actually really well-designed modules that I really like, and you get nifty badges, and you can help everyone use Clever better. So I want to encourage you to check that out if you are interested in learning more. And finally, if you need access to the links, they are in the agenda and they're in this slide deck, which once again is bit.ly/backpacksfusd. So thank you all so much for your patience while we learn about the digital backpack and Clever. Just as a recap, the digital backpack is this initiative at SFUSD to give you applications that are simple to access, that are safe to use with students, and that are the best apps for achieving our learning goals. They are delivered through Clever, and we hope that you will use them, use the digital backpack to create a more seamless experience for digital learning with our students. Now I will turn it over to all of you for questions, and look forward to chatting with you more.
All right, I got a list of some questions.
All right.
Okay, so let's see. Somebody wanted to know about whether their class or their kids can log in using clever QR codes with Seesaw.
That's a slightly complicated question. Seesaw is killing me these days. I love Seesaw. They're wonderful. It's a wonderful tool. The free version of Seesaw does not support Clever, but the paid version of Seesaw does. If you are one of the, I think, 15 schools that has Seesaw, you can, and if you, for example, and you'll know if you log into Clever right now and you see Seesaw, your students can log in by opening Clever, logging in with their badge, and then clicking the Seesaw link. All the rest of you are going to get a link to Seesaw in Clever soon, but it is not going to be a real Clever link, and it's not going to work with badges. Seesaw just charges extra to work with Clever, and unfortunately, it's not something we're able to support centrally. So I'm sorry that that's a complicated answer, but if your school has already paid for Seesaw, and you'll know because it's in your Clever already, then they can use then your students can use Clever badges to log into Clever and then click into Seesaw. But if it's not there, then it's not available. I saw a request about how parents would log into Clever. I'm not really aware of anything that parents would want to do in Clever. Students can log in, and parents can look at what students are doing. Was there a use case for what you thought that parents might want to do with Clever that I might be able to tell you how to achieve? For kindergarten students, yeah. So basically what I would suggest for all students is their parents should just access their regular Clever accounts. That there's nothing on there that a parent wouldn't want to see, but there also really isn't a parent view. So I would just say parents should get their students' usernames and passwords either from the teachers or from parent view, and log into Clever at clever.sfusd.edu and click the login with Google button. And that's the best way for parents to help, and best way for parents to just see what's available.
Aiden, I have a few more questions that people asked in the chat while you were talking.
Sure.
A couple people want to know if they can email QR codes or badges to students.
Yes, they can. So when you download the badges, they're downloaded as PDFs. There's an individual PDF for each student, and you can attach that to an email. Clever is working on ways to make that a little easier because the demand has gotten so much higher, but unfortunately right now, the best that we're able to offer is emailing badges to students. You may be able to email them to parents as well. And one thing that we thought of that could be useful is you can use School Messenger to text parents who might not have an internet connection or who might not have answer their emails. and you can text them with the directions for going on to parent view and finding their students' Google credentials that way. So that is a different way to kind of accomplish a similar goal of getting the parents' help logging in.
Cool, thanks for that. A couple more questions that people had asked earlier, but I just wanted to ask John McDevitt, could you please mute yourself? A couple more questions. Somebody was asking about getting access to BrainPop. Do you want to talk about that now, or?
Sure. BrainPop has been pushed out, should already be available for all K-8 schools and students. Well, all students for K through 8, not just the K-8 schools, but also the elementary and middle schools. If you are in a high school and want access, please send in a help ticket and I will take care of that. But there is at least one high school that it's already active for. So just check your Clever. It should be in there if you're in that grade span. And if you want help getting access and don't see it, just let us know.
Awesome, thank you. We had a question from Justin about how to add a co-teacher.
Yep, so that is all in the, all related to the synergy process. Everything in Clever is based on synergy, and if you want to have another teacher in your section, then they need to be added as a co-teacher in synergy. And just as a reminder, that those instructions are here. This is something that your site admin or clerk will probably do for you. And if they need assistance or guidance, send in a ticket or call.
Awesome, thank you. And then someone was asking if you could go back over how to add a app to their class page. I
Sure
did
thing.
send a link to the support page, but
Yep. That is here. Okay. So you're here on the Clever homepage. You go to your teacher page, and you'll know. And this little help text down here is very helpful for making sure that you know which one's which. You're going, if you want, presumably you want to share with students, so you're going to pick the one that is shared with all of your students. And then you go down here to the little button on the right to click Add. The app link, there's really not that many apps. It says there's a lot of apps, but most of them are actually not available because they don't meet our privacy requirements. But there are a couple that are. Most of the time, the thing really, because there's only a couple of apps that you can add, you'll want to add links. But again, that's here just on your teacher page. Come down here to the right, click Add, click Link. All right, what else can I tell you guys?
Aiden, sorry to pop in like this.
No problem.
But so the question I was having about adding apps was, I know that there's a select number that we can add. So like, are apps like Google Classroom already going to be visible in our class page for the students? Or do we need to add them in so then they can see them when they log in?
Great question. So if we go back to the student view, which I will reshare with you. Part of the reason that the teacher pages are a little bare is because most things are already there for students. This is the student's view. There are all these teacher pages. There's not a lot of information on the teacher pages, but most of the resources are in this student view already. You don't need to add a BrainPop to your teacher page because they are in the student's Clever page already. You don't need to add Amplify because they have it already. You don't need to add Imagine Learning because they have it already. So the reality is that you will mostly be putting links on your page if you choose to do so, but the most of the apps, including Google Classroom, Google Drive, are going to be in the student's default page already because the district has shared it with them and do not need to be added to your teacher page.
And does the favoriting change anything for the student view when we favorite a certain app?
No, it does not. That just moves it up to the top of your section. The students have their own favoriting capability.
Great, thank you so much.
Oh yeah, my pleasure. Thank you so much for the good question.
We've got a couple more questions here in the chat. Brian was asking if it's easy to post a link on Google Classroom for Clever. I don't know if there's like integration within that.
That's a great question. I think, yeah, I mean, it's just clever.sfusd.edu, and I don't think there's any real integrations per se, but that link will always work. And as long as students are logged into Google, it'll just take them right to that page. Yeah.
Okay. John's asking if a teacher can subscribe to an approved website individually and use it with students, even if the school doesn't, like, for example, RAS Kids.
Yeah, absolutely. So details about that, as always, are just on the approved apps site. And this right-hand column of how to add has details of what you'll need to do. Usually the answer to that is you'll need to just submit a pretty simple order form that has just the product you want and your school's funding code. Send that into the vendor and we just get that up and running for you.
Awesome. Susan says she's trying to find Desmos in Clever, but doesn't see it.
That is something that is on our list of things to fix. It's part of the big push that we're working on of getting out all the information of these, sort of top 25 CNI apps that we want to push out. So that will be there soon. Thank you for your patience.
Awesome. And then Brian had a question from an administrative standpoint. Is it easy to set? I think he's asking if it's easy to set administrators up for Clever.
So all administrators, all site administrators already have access to Clever. You can just log in the same as anyone else does, clever.sfusd.edu, and click login with Google. You won't have students rostered to you, so you'll have a slightly different experience than the teachers, but you will have some superpowers, like you can view analytics to see what people in your school site are doing. You can add links for the whole school, and you can print badges if you're feeling particularly helpful.
Okay, great. Someone's asking if Khan Academy is one that can be added into Clever. I'm guessing that'd be through the link.
So Khan Academy basic. You can view Khan Academy lessons without logging in, but basically to really use Khan Academy requires that you give them personal information, and that is not permitted by the legal department. It is not one of our approved apps. So please do not ask your students to use Khan Academy because it is not approved by legal.
All right, one more question about Seesaw, and I apologize, I was looking for information for another
Oh my God.
question, but it says, if I'm using Seesaw, can my students access the platform through Clever? But I think that's, you were saying only if it's a premium.
Right. Yeah, so if you see Seesaw in your Clever account right now, that's great. Someone's paid for Seesaw for you. They've paid for the advanced Clever features. If you don't see it right now, then you can add Seesaw as a dumb link, which is what I'll be doing. and you should see that pretty soon. And yeah, I'm sorry that it doesn't have the advanced features, but if the simplicity of those extra clever features are something you want, it's something you may consider purchasing at your school site.
All right, we've got somebody whose school has Raz Kids and Vocabulary. It's not on their Clever page, and they want to know how to get it onto their Clever page.
Yeah. So there are a couple of schools that that's an interesting question, and something that I'd recommend that you talk to your administrator about, because generally speaking, we always can put stuff onto Clever, but we try to only make big transitions, ideally on summer break or over winter break. Sometimes putting stuff on Clever means that sort of your old way of getting to things doesn't work anymore, and you'll need to tell everyone, okay, now you have to use Clever. And sometimes it even breaks the students' old accounts and deletes their progress. Not always. So if this is something that you want to have, if there's an app that you have at your school already and you want it to be in Clever, and you want it to be in Clever now and not over the summer, I'm happy to explore that with you. Just send in a ticket, and I will talk to you about it as soon as I can. But frequently there's a good reason for waiting until the summer. Anything else I can help everyone with? Seeing some waves over there. Hi. All right. Question from Justin about typing club. Well, we'd love it if you use the district's typing club. It's being paid for. It has premium features. But if you want to just add it as a link, you can just follow the instructions for adding it as a link. You're most welcome. Drag apps from homeroom to the teacher page? Not really. Clever tries to only have things exist in one place. So if it exists on a student's main page, it usually won't let you put it in your teacher page. So the home, really the idea is we want them to go to the homeroom first and only go to the teacher page if something's not on there already, is sort of the intention behind the design. Stu, are there any other questions that popped up or should I just start skimming through the chat and see if anything catches my fancy?
I think we've addressed all the questions. There's one more here. Are all the Clever applications can be wait, sorry.
So for the most part, any applications that you see, your students can see, and any apps your students can see, you'll see. So there should be a pretty close mapping of you and your students should see the same things. That's not always true. The fastest, surest thing to do is just ask a student, maybe have them do a Google Meet screen share. But if there's something that you don't see, I would again suggest checking out the approved apps list, because you may see, let me find an example here. Okay, this is a good example. Let me share my screen again. So, oops. No, I don't remember which of these I shared. I think it's so this is a good example. So the graduate profile showcase is an application that is active for all teachers and students at SFUSD. And you can just go to the approved apps page to see, okay, yes, this should be active for everyone. Whereas GoGuardian, it says GoGuardian must be funded by a site or department. And it says sites or departments wishing to purchase GoGuardian should complete an individual service agreement, and we'll install the program. So if you're curious about why an app is there or not, just check out the website, because it may say that it's free and then everyone has it, or it may say that these products need to be paid for and how to add them. So one more shameless plug: SFUSD approved apps. Just Google it. First result. And all the information is there. So much information, so much information. All right, it's almost 4 on Friday, and I'm getting a little loose. Thank you all for sticking with me.
Someone's asking about Tuva. I guess if Tuva is available.
Yeah, Tuva is one of the things that we are going to be pushing out for everyone over the next couple of days. Information will be at the top of the approved apps list, and the links will be in Clever.
Cool. Justin's got another question in there about Typing Club.
Students use their Google login to get a Typing Club, but they didn't actually log in at all. Yeah, so that is the power of Clever. With the logins, make things super easy. That's why we really like having things in Clever, because once they've logged into Clever, they shouldn't need to log into any other apps. Typing Club is one of the ones that works super well. Just log in, click it, and log in to Clever, click Typing Club, and everything works super smooth. So that I hope that answers your question, Justin.
He says, yes, thank you.
All right.
And a lot of people saying thank you for the session.
You are all most welcome. Thank you all for being here. Hey, Belinda.
Belinda, all right.
Good spring break. Thank you. I'm not going on break, but I hope the rest of you do. All right. Any other questions? I'm keep skimming through, see if there's anything we missed. Oh my goodness. Boy, this was a busy chat. You guys are so chatty. Well, if there's anything else that we can help you with, please let us know. I'll keep an eye on the chat box. Otherwise, I just hope everyone has a wonderful weekend.
All right. Do we want to close out?
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much all for being here. This one definitely tightened up a little. I'm anticipating the questions a little more now. That's the 5th time I've done it. So thanks again to everyone. I really appreciate your being here. And Stu, I will see you in like a week.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Take it easy. Thanks for the great session.
Thank you.